The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Don't like songbirds and snakes.
That ain't what it takes to love me, and I'm not even going to explain that. The prequel to the smash hit Hunger Games movie series. The prequel, like its predecessors, based on a novel by Suzanne Collins. The novel was first published in 2020. I haven't read the novel. No. I read the first of the Hunger Games books when the thing was happening. So this is set 60-something years before the events of the first film and novel. Tom Blythe plays a younger version of Coriolanus Snow, who we know from the main movies as the tyrannical leader of Panem, which always makes me think of
Panem?
Yes, sorry. Played with sinister gusto by Donald Sutherland.
Enjoying himself enormously.
Can I
just say, when I say that, I don't mean it like that.
In that way,
just mean
yeah, fine.
In the traditional sense.
So he's an 18-year-old hoping to redeem his once proud family in the post-war years. Dreams of winning a prize scholarship. Instead, due to a change in rules and stuff happened, a lot of plot points at the beginning, he finds himself assigned as a mentor to Lucy Gray Baird, who is a tribute from District 12, chosen to take part in the 10th Hunger Games. She is played by Rachel Zegler, who was brilliant in Spielberg's West Side Story. She was the kind of the great discovery of that film. It's fantastic. And she can sing. So conveniently in the film, she plays a singer, and she gets to sing several times. And in fact, her singing is a plot point, because when she gets chosen as the tribute, she sings on television, because this is being televised now because people are losing interest. And she also performs at one point, because she's a professional musician, on stage in what appears to be a country and western outfit. So she does a lot of singing, and Rachel Zegler is very, very good at that. She is catnip rather than Katniss. See what I did there? Catnip amazing. For the television. Thank you very much. For the television audience, and hopefully can reinvigorate their interest in the games. Here's a clip.
I am honoured to...
Dinklage as Dean Highbottom, inventor of the Hunger Games. Viola
Dean
Davis.
Highbottom?
Yes. Look, I didn't write it. I'm just reviewing it, all right? And they said the name in the
Dean Castor. I know, I wrote it down. Dean Castor
Highbottom. And then Viola Davis as head game maker, Dr. Gall. Film also features Jason Schwartzman as Lucretius Lucky Flickerman, who is this oleaginous TV presenter with a big quiff.
I love a TV presenter with a big quiff.
Who is going to present the Hunger Games. So the film keeps returning to the question of what are the Hunger Games for? Meaning that the original Hunger Games series owed a lot to Battle Royale. I mean, I know that there's a question about how much Suzanne Collins was aware of it, but in terms of lineage, Battle Royale is a kind of predecessor to Hunger Games, and it's quite amazing how brutal the first Hunger Games was when we consider that it's a YA story. This owes, I think, a weightier debt to Rollerball. Rollerball, which is based on a short story called Rollerball Murder, in which the whole thing about it is there's a future society in which they have murderous games, and the murderous games are there, yes, to satisfy the bloodlust, because in the not too distant future, wars will no longer exist, but there will be Rollerball. But also because the games are there to demonstrate that without a huge autocratic, tyrannical control of society, we are all basically bestial, and there is no point. There is a big speech in Rollerball about it's to demonstrate that individual endeavour is nothing. And here, the whole thing, what's the point of the Hunger Games? It's to show us that we are just all one heartbeat away from being brutal monsters. That's why we need to be led by...
propaganda.
Well, precisely, propaganda. Also, of course, this has the post-Twilight conflicted romance, which is a standard feature of all dystopian YA. And actually, I think it is always important to acknowledge just how significant Twilight was in kind of giving... And Twilight isn't dystopian, Twilight is vampire, but it kind of gave birth to that huge wave of dystopian YA fiction that then made big hit movies. Now, So there's a love across the barricades vibe going on in the middle of the plot. I was a big fan of the first Hunger Games movie. I remember seeing it in America, and I remember being really amazed by how full on it is. I mean, particularly it's the cornucopia sequence at the beginning. Remember when the battle begins, and I'm also a big fan of Rachel Zegler. I think she's terrific. I think she's a real star. I have to say that this left me rather underwhelmed. It didn't have the urgency of the first film. I do think the Hunger Games series kind of petered out. They sort of, the subsequent movies...
They became very repetitious.
Yeah, they became very repetitious, and they also lost urgency is the word about the first one. There was something about it that was like, this is really edgy stuff. By the time we got to the end of it, it just felt like, so I didn't feel I needed a new Hunger Games story in my life, and I certainly didn't feel I needed this particular prequel. There are some decent set pieces. Peter Dinklage is terrific, but then, we heard
him there being very, very sinister.
Yeah, but also world weary, also kind of fed up, also sort of like, there is a lot of hair and makeup getting in the way of the grungy dystopian future. And I suppose that kind of bothered me a little bit because I never believed in the grungy dystopian future. I thought there was, just a lot of makeup. And around, it's getting on for 160 minutes. It all runs its course at great length. So I think it ended up being balanced somewhere between being ominously portentous, rather silly, and also sort of tying itself up in knots in the way that prequels do in order to set up things that we already know are going to happen, but we have to kind of do. So it's not terrible, and I think people will enjoy it. And some of the reviews have been very positive. I felt like I didn't need to have this story told to me. Although there are certain things in it that I like, particularly Rachel Zegler, I did find it like, okay, can we just get to the end of it now? And I don't feel like I need another one. I mean, I didn't feel like I needed another one before I went in.
There might be another one, I imagine.
Well, not if Judge Accordingly takes off.
Thanks very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we enjoyed making it. While you're here, check out all the other videos because they're cool too, aren't they?
Yeah, and if you want to keep up to date with everything Kermode and Mayo's take, then check out our social channels.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
I mean, I would. I have done.
Excellent.